The atmosphere in the university auditorium was palpable, charged with an electric anticipation that seemed to hum through the air. Over 200 students filled every seat, their phones poised to capture what promised to be a seismic event. Whispers and nervous chuckles rippled through the crowd as security guards took strategic positions, sensing the night would deviate from the usual political discourse. The stage was illuminated by stark lights, casting focus on two women who embodied starkly different personas. Candace Owens, in a crisp black blazer, exuded intensity, her eyes scanning the audience with a predator's focus as she reviewed her notes one last time. Across from her sat Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, composed in a blue suit, hands folded calmly, radiating a quiet confidence that contrasted sharply with her opponent's fiery demeanor. The difference between them was immediate. One a storm of aggressive energy, the other an island of serene poise. "You claim to represent black women." Candace's voice sliced through the hushed room. "You're just a puppet for the Democratic machine." The audience erupted, some cheering, others gasping, all leaning forward in their seats. This was no ordinary debate. It was a confrontation primed to ignite. Jasmine, unfazed, offered a subtle smile that would soon become iconic. What unfolded next would dominate social media, trend globally for 3 days, and demonstrate that the quietest voice often delivers the most devastating impact. Candace believed she could dismantle Jasmine on this live, streamed stage, using the same confrontational tactics that had built her media empire and silenced countless opponents. She was about to discover why underestimating a woman who had clawed her way to Congress through relentless grassroots effort and strategic brilliance was a grave mistake. The stage was set for a battle, but only one woman knew how it would end. The university had billed this event as a discussion on the future of black leadership in America, but the audience understood it was far more, a clash of two opposing visions for what it meant to be a black woman in politics. The outcome would shape the national conversation for years to come. To grasp why this moment was so charged, one must understand the paths that led these two women to this collision. Candace Owens, at 34, carried the weight of her conservative platform like a badge of honor. From her early work with conservative groups to becoming a best-selling author and media figure with millions of followers, she had crafted a persona as a fearless black, conservative, challenging liberal narratives. Her supporters saw her as a truth teller, unafraid to confront what she called democratic falsehoods and progressive hypocrisy. Her critics labeled her a sellout, but their disdain only fueled her resolve. She thrived on stages like this, knowing her words could spark viral moments within minutes. Yet tonight, she faced an opponent immune to her intimidation. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, 43, had forged a different path. Raised in Missouri by a working-class family, she witnessed her parents' struggles, shaping her commitment to systemic change. Balancing law school while supporting her siblings, she built a legal career defending families and workers before defying expectations to win a state legislature seat and later a congressional one. Each victory came through tireless door knocking and coalition building, proving doubters wrong at every turn. Where Candace's power stemmed from provocation, Jasmine's was rooted in strategy and substance. She studied her opponents meticulously, striking with precision when the moment called for it. This wasn't just a personal showdown. It represented two divergent visions of black womanhood in American politics. Candace embodied the conservative push to disrupt the Democratic grip on black voters, while Jasmine stood for a new wave of progressive leaders who refused to yield. The audience mirrored this divide, conservative students on one side, phones ready to amplify their champion, progressive activists on the other, prepared to defend theirs, and in the middle, the undecided, whose reactions would shape the narrative. As the moderator introduced the speakers, the room buzzed with electricity. This wasn't a debate. It was a battle for the soul of black political identity. Candace leaned forward, plotting her offensive, confident she could expose Jasmine's weaknesses. Jasmine sat back, calm and observant, having studied Candace's tactics and prepared a calculated response. Neither fully anticipated how this night would redefine their legacies. The first question, on economic policy in black communities, seemed innocuous. Both women began with measured responses. Candace advocated for school choice and entrepreneurship, citing charter school data and small business growth. Jasmine countered with arguments about systemic barriers, referencing wealth gaps and funding disparities. But beneath the surface, tension simmered. Candace's tone sharpened, her gestures grew animated, her eyes locked on Jasmine. Jasmine's responses grew more pointed, each word chosen for impact. The audience sensed the brewing storm, their polite applause tinged with expectation. Then the moderator asked about criminal justice reform, and the pretense of civility shattered. The Democratic Party has failed black communities for decades, Candace declared, her voice rising. They promise reform but deliver crime, poverty, and broken families. Leaders like Congresswoman Crockett profit off this misery. Her supporters roared, their cheers echoing through the auditorium. Jasmine's side booed, some standing in defiance, but she raised a hand, signaling calm with the authority of someone accustomed to navigating hostile arenas. That's an interesting take from someone who's never held elected office. Jasmine replied evenly. It's easy to criticize from the sidelines, doing the work is harder. Candace's eyes flared. This was the kind of establishment jab that ignited her. Oh, so we're playing the credentials game, she shot back. I don't need a government paycheck to speak truth. That's the difference between us. The room's energy surged, phones capturing every word. Jasmine nodded, unruffled. You're right, we are different. I show up and do the messy, complicated work. Some prefer to throw stones from the outside. Candace's voice cracked like a whip. The sidelines, I've been fighting the liberal establishment while you've been cashing checks from the system keeping our people down. The phrase liberal establishment sent shockwaves through the room. Progressive students shouted in protest, conservatives cheered louder. The moderator struggled to regain control, but the energy was uncontainable. Jasmine waited for the noise to subside, then spoke with lethal calm. That's quite a phrase from someone whose career is built on telling white conservatives what they want to hear about black people. The progressive side erupted. Candace stood, her chair scraping the stage. How dare you question my authenticity? I've sacrificed everything to speak truth, while you play the game, selling out our community for a government salary. The room descended into chaos, students shouting across aisles, the moderator's gavel useless. Candace pointed at Jasmine, her voice nearing a scream. You want authenticity? Let's talk about your voting record, rubber. Stamping failed Democratic policies while black unemployment stays high and businesses struggle. You're not a leader, you're a performer. Jasmine remained seated, hands folded, watching Candace's outburst with clinical detachment. The contrast was stark, one woman raging, the other composed. Are you finished? Jasmine asked quietly, her voice carrying through the microphone to every corner of the room. Candace, breathless with adrenaline, snapped, I'm just getting started. You think your title and law degree make you legitimate. You're everything wrong with black leadership. The attacks grew personal, vicious. Candace's supporters cheered her ferocity, feeding her energy, but a subtle shift in Jasmine's posture, a tightening around her eyes, hinted that Candace had miscalculated. You know what? Candace continued, pacing the stage. I'm tired of people like you hiding behind degrees and titles, while black folks suffer. Your calm act doesn't fool me. What have you actually done besides give speeches and cash checks? Security guards edged closer, sensing the escalating tension. Candace built to her climax, you're the problem with the Democratic Party, a puppet, a sellout keeping black folks in line for your white liberal bosses. The words stunned the room into a momentary silence, followed by a cacophony of cheers and boos. Jasmine sat still, letting Candace exhaust herself, revealing her tactics to the cameras and crowd. As the noise subsided, Jasmine spoke. Ms. Owens, are you finished? Her quiet tone forced the audience to lean in. Candace gestured dismissively. I'm finished exposing you. Jasmine smiled, then stood, moving with deliberate grace to the stage's center. Thank you, Candace. You've just shown everyone the difference between noise and substance, performance and leadership. The progressive side stirred, sensing a counterattack. You called me a sellout, questioned my accomplishments. Jasmine said, her voice steady but sharp. Let me tell you what I've done. In 2 years in Congress, I've secured $47 million for black-owned businesses in my district. I've authored 3 laws expanding health care for working mothers, funding for HBCUs, and capital access for minority entrepreneurs. She raised a hand to quiet the growing applause. I've held 127 town halls in community centers and living rooms, listening to thousands of constituents. I've fought voter suppression laws, worked across party lines to reduce recidivism by 23%, and helped 847 families access earned benefits. The specifics hit like precision strikes, each number a testament to her work. But you know what I haven't done, Candace. I haven't built a career telling white people what they want to hear about black folks. I haven't made millions by denying systemic racism. The progressive side roared, but Jasmine turned to Candace, unflinching. You want authenticity? Let's talk about your post from 3 years ago. I don't experience racism because I don't think like a victim. That same week, Breonna Taylor was killed by police in her home. Tell that to the families in my district redlined for generations, or the mothers teaching their sons how to survive police encounters. Candace tried to interject, but Jasmine cut her off. I'm not finished. When you see injustice, you blame the victims. I work to change the system. You profit by saying struggles are our fault. I address their root causes. She stepped closer, addressing the audience. To the young black women here, don't let anyone say your only choice is silence or rage. You can be strong without tearing others down. The auditorium shook with applause. Jasmine faced Candace again. You called me a plantation overseer. That's ironic. Overseers told enslaved people their suffering was their fault. You've built your career on that same message, telling black people racism is imaginary, poverty is our choice. But real change requires work, showing up, building coalitions, not just making viral videos. She paused, letting the words sink in. You call me a puppet. Who pays your salary, Candace? Whose agenda benefits when you tell black people to stop fighting for justice? Candace opened her mouth, but no words came. Jasmine pressed on. Your conservative allies opposed every civil rights law in history. They're banning books that tell that truth. I don't serve a plantation. I serve the people who elected me. Her voice softened, almost compassionate. You're talented, Candace, smart, articulate. You could help our community, but you've chosen to tell white people racism is over, that our pain is our fault. When challenged, you scream and name, call because you lack facts. Candace, visibly shaken, stammered, You don't know what you're talking about. I know you've never held office, but lecture those who have. Jasmine replied. You've never fought for school funding, but criticize education policy. You've never consoled a mother whose son was killed by police, but call brutality a myth. I see someone afraid that acknowledging racism will lose your audience, that fighting systemic barriers is harder than talking about them. She looked Candace in the eye. Our ancestors didn't survive slavery and Jim Crow, so their descendants could profit by blaming black suffering on black people. The auditorium exploded. Cheers, whistles, applause. Even some of Candace's supporters looked stunned. Jasmine nodded, almost gently. When you're ready for a real conversation about helping our community, you know where to find me. I'll be working. The moment wasn't loud or theatrical. It was quiet, confident, and devastating. Jasmine had turned an attack into a masterclass in leadership, wielding facts and grace with surgical precision. As the event ended, the room buzzed, students huddled over phones, replaying Jasmine's response. Did you see Candace's face when she listed those numbers? One whispered, another admitted, I thought Candace would dominate, but Jasmine brought receipts. Candace hurried offstage, avoiding the press, while Jasmine lingered, shaking hands with students, composed and approachable. How did you prepare for her attacks? A reporter asked. I did my homework and remembered who I work for. She replied with a smile. Social media ignited. Jasmine receipts trended within minutes. The Are You Finished? Clip went viral, spawning countless memes. Conservative outlets tried to spin the event, but even they acknowledged the shift. Candace got fact-checked in real time. One commentator tweeted. Progressive reactions were jubilant, with leaders sharing clips and praising Jasmine's leadership. The undecided were swayed. One tweet read, I didn't know either woman before tonight. Now I know who I'd want representing me. Clips amassed millions of views with the Are You Finished? Moment hitting 2.3 million in a day. Analysts called it a generational shift in black political leadership, a masterclass in responding to bad faith with substance. Jasmine's office saw a 400% surge in volunteer applications and small, dollar donations. Her policies gained national attention, and polls showed her favorability soaring, especially among young black women and white suburban women. The confrontation exposed the fragility of performative conservatism when faced with substantive leadership. It became a template for Democrats, showing how to counter attacks with specifics and calm. Candace struggled to recover, her influence waning as speaking engagements were canceled and book sales dipped. Jasmine, meanwhile, graced the cover of a major magazine's Rising Stars issue, headlined The Future of American Leadership. She reflected, "People are tired of shouting and performance. They want leaders who deliver results." Asked about regrets, she said, "I regret that our culture made this confrontation necessary, but not standing up for the people I serve. Someone has to call out the emperor's lack of clothes." The moment reshaped political discourse, teaching young people, especially young black women, that power lies in substance, not noise. You don't need to scream to be heard or tear others down to rise. Jasmine Crockett's calm, fact-driven response became a symbol of authentic leadership, proving that grace and substance can triumph over aggression.